ALIPH is a newly created international organization based in Geneva. We operate as a fund and we financially support cultural heritage initiatives in conflict areas as well as in countries coming out of a crisis situation. The Museum of Raqqa restoration project came to us through a French NGO, La Guilde Européenne des Red. They had been in Raqqa in December 2018, and at the museum they met a group of young professionals who were working there, cleaning the museum that had been badly damaged by the war and through the occupation by Daesh. La Guilde Européenne and this group, RUYA, they worked on the museum in the last year and a half, and they restored the building. The citizens of Raqqa were very proud of their museum. For them, this was a place that reflected their identities, the identities of the various communities that were living there. It reflected the long history of habitation in the region. So for them, restoring the museum is a symbol of recovery, of revival of a place that has suffered greatly from the war. To restore cultural heritage in conflict areas, for ALIPH, it's not only about restoring and rehabilitating stones, but it is really about rehabilitating those places that mean something, restoring the minds and hearts of the people. I have a lot of admiration for all the people who work and operate in these countries, and their mission is to protect the heritage. They do this in very complicated circumstances, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. They continue with the work. They're doing fantastic work, and we have all the admiration.
So Fight for Humanity is implementing an emergency project with the local authorities. It really has two key elements. So one is to work to protect a historical site, the Nabada Palace, that has been suffering especially from the weather conditions. And the other part of the project is linked to artifacts that have partially been recovered from archaeological missions. Another part that has been captured from smugglers that local security forces have captured. So these are about 3,000 items that are in protected places where the conditions are not good. So the part of this project is really to intervene, to stabilize, and to make sure that the situation doesn't deteriorate. The context is still complicated, but the conditions for working are actually improving. So this is kind of a first step towards further work on this issue with the local authorities. So cultural heritage in Syria, and in particular also in northeast Syria, has been affected by the conflict in many ways. First, the conflict itself, the fighting, the bombings have affected historical sites, cities, but also some armed actors have been particularly targeting, like ISIS have been targeting cultural heritage, so destroying deliberately. Also, there has been theft and smuggling of cultural artifacts, both for financing the conflict, but also regular criminality. So basically, the lack of law and order in the area has put cultural heritage also at risk, not just the conflict. Cultural heritage can serve peace building, in fact, in a very, very concrete way. And how is this? So it depends on the perception you have of human nature. So we can think that people are all very bad or we are very good, but actually we are somewhere in between where we could do both good and bad things. And actually we have mechanisms, the way we function, that we are very social and we are very capable of building bonds. And sometimes this it's good for living and working together, functioning together. But our capacity to build bonds can also be served in a negative way when people and communities are pitted against each other. People are pushing for violence against another group. So the strength of cultural heritage is actually of culture, is also to go back to what we have in common, the commonalities between people, our shared identities and treasures, and to build on this for creating joint identities instead of separating people. We have seen, particularly in northeast Syria, the commitment of the authorities to work to protect cultural heritage. And we find that this is something really that we can build on, but we think that there's still a need to work more with communities, with actors to make sure that that there is an interest, there is a commitment to protect cultural heritage, because of course when people don't have food, if there's something you can sell that has value, is an opportunity. So that's where I think the local actors can step in and also work to explain, to advocate for the need to treasure these things for future generations. So maybe sometimes the protection of cultural heritage seems like something very technical. The processes, the methods, the ways of going about it, but it's also something very, very fundamental. Cultural heritage is a link between us and the past, and cultural heritage can also be a link between different peoples.